This week we'll see the release to theaters of Logan, a superhero film likely destined to become the next Dark Knight, inasmuch as it's a very good film that will inevitably attract a particularly loathsome stripe of ardent superfans whose equally inevitable behavior as such will make stable people question whether they actually like the goddamn movie to begin with. And you know I'm not exaggerating, it's been 8 years and geek culture is still crawling with angry little shits who want you basically dead if you won't validate their exaltation of what is maybe the third most entertaining Batman movie. In any case, this is not my review of Logan. My review will run sometime later this week on geek.com, and you'll most likely be able to find it here. Yes, in fact, that is a plug. I do this for a living. Fuck off. For now, short version, I think Logan is a genuinely good movie. And if you're looking for some kind of metric for that, as far as I'm concerned, there's only really been 2 genuinely good X-Men movies overall. So yes, while I fully expect to be completely and utterly sick of Logan fanboys by as early as this weekend, it's a movie I like. It's also a movie I neither want nor need to watch any more versions of or see become in any way meaningfully influential on either where the X-Men movies are going next or the rest of the superhero movie genre. For context, Logan has been sort of softball pitched as being inspired by Old Man Logan, a not very good Mark Millar comic that Marvel put out back in 2008. But apart from both stories starring a Logan, who is in fact an old man, Logan effectively has nothing to do with Old Man Logan, which is for the best because, as I mentioned, it's not an especially good comic. Instead, the comic that Logan feels significantly more akin to is, of course, Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns, inasmuch as they're both ultra-dark, dystopian, near-future stories about aging, embittered former superheroes finding a measure of redemption and playing mentor figure to a young girl, and they both serve as dark, depressing, relentlessly grim, hypothetical, sad endings to long-running contemporary superhero stories. To be clear, I mean that as high praise for Logan. Both Frank Miller and the entire movement in comics that The Dark Knight Returns helped kick off have both been thoroughly diminished in the popular discourse for good reason, but the actual book itself does still stand up quite nicely, as I suspect will Logan given the benefit of time. My concern is in fact that very movement. Make no mistake, The Dark Knight Returns was a great comic in itself, but its influence over the comics industry was almost entirely a net negative, most obviously in that the rush to copy its massive success and positive media attention led to attempts at telling the same kind of story with other characters in books like Superman at Earth's End and Spider-Man Reign, often regarded as some of the worst mainstream comics ever published in recent decades. But it was more pervasively destructive in that attempting to clone the dark tone and deconstructionist #gritty narrative aesthetics present in both that book and the adjacently published Watchmen became the driving force of a transformational wave across the Marvel and DC landscape that led to a retreat from mainstream sales avenues, the solidifying of the price-inflating comic shop model, the abandonment of a broad, diverse audience in favor of a narrow focus on only a certain stripe of hardcore fanboy, and other moves that very much helped create the industry-ravaging boom and bust of the 1990s. And it concerns me that Logan could conceivably have a similar effect on the superhero movie genre. Inadvertently, of course. See, part of what made The Dark Knight Returns' deconstructionist take on its own material so impactful at the time was the added weight of overall context. Not only was it a sad ending for Batman using the actual Batman characters in an official DC book, it was sitting on shelves alongside the other normal Batman books in an era where even the Adam West show was still regularly on TV in syndication. All the grimness, deflation, and stripping down of the mythology that defined the book felt earned and resonant, and Logan works for a lot of those same reasons, especially the stripping down part. There's almost no trace of the other X-Men stuff in the movie, no flashbacks to the prior films, a complete and deliberate casting aside of anything that even remotely resembles what we've conventionally thought of as an X-Men movie. There's not even any direct plot connection to what came before. In fact, the only presence the broader X-Men universe has is the existence of old comic books that Logan himself mocks for not presenting the real version of what occurred, and further implying that in this particular continuity, the movie versions might not have taken place either. It's a bold, audacious move, to be sure, to rip everything out of the franchise except for Jackman's interpretation of the character and the claws, because there still needs to be some for the action stuff to happen, and build what's left into a bleak dystopian western that no one would ever mistake for a superhero movie other than the fact that audiences remember Logan used to be a superhero called Wolverine in a bunch of other earlier movies. But it ultimately does work within that greater context thanks to the collective cultural memory called forth just by seeing Jackman and Patrick Stewart go through these motions for apparently the last time. My worry, then, is that like The Dark Knight Returns, other forces within the superhero movie cottage industry will take one look at what will probably be the big ticket sales and overwhelmingly positive reviews for Logan and decide that those superficial details are the key to the success in and of themselves. Oh, that's how we should do this or that property on screen. We'll cut out all the superhero bullshit, play everything grim and depressing, and basically just make another movie where angry guys in dad beards grunt mournfully at each other in the leftover sets from Hella High Water. Yeah, that's the ticket. And no, it will not in fact be the ticket. Logan might be the best original deconstructionist superhero movie ever made, maybe, but it is so precisely because of the unique set of specific circumstances, like a lead actor who is legitimately getting too old for this shit, the meta-narrative of the future X-Men franchise largely being up in the air, the fact of 2 decades worth of build-up already having been laid down, and an audience that legitimately has grown up with this version of the character. And those just aren't circumstances you're going to replicate on a superficial level, any more than you could have made Rogue One without having already made the previous more traditional Star Wars movies, or a meaningful version of Civil War without the whole prior Marvel Cinematic Universe building up to it. And if you need to prove this theorem, go slog through that epic, world-ending superhero clash between a Batman no one ever met before and a Superman nobody likes for the fate of a DC universe they hadn't even thought up yet. Or, for any Simpsons fans in the audience, recall the truly excellent Holidays of Future Past, which was actually conceived as the prospective final episode of the series, i.e. letting the Simpsons go out on a holiday special like they came in on, and then recall how awful the result was when they went back to that same well for Days of Future Future. Logan is a fascinating, special little movie, and I'm very glad they made it. Now, let's not ruin it by trying to make it ever again. Hey gang, here's a question that keeps coming up. If your handle is moviebob, where are your movie reviews? Well, my old reviews are in a lot of places. You'll find many of them on my YouTube channel, but you'll find the brand new ones on geek.com, an awesome site that's also your one-stop news source for science, TV, gaming, technology, nerd culture, the works. You can find all my reviews directly by going to geek.com/author/bchipman, because that's my real name, and you can get regular updates on all my reviews and all of geek.com's other great content by signing up for their kick-ass newsletter at subscribe.geek.com. And don't forget to also subscribe to the Geek.com YouTube channel, where you'll find the videos that accompany my reviews and tons of other great content too. Remember, that's Geek.com, the Geek.com newsletter, and Geek.com on YouTube. Make sure you don't miss out on all the latest MovieBob reviews. You can also check out my own new website, MovieBob Central, where you'll find my blog, links to all my work, and shop for my books, ebooks, and future MovieBob products. And please remember to like these videos, share them with all of your friends, and subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching another MovieBob production.